The only bad thing about credit cards. I have all the details and what you need to know right here in the video, so let's get right into it. Alright, first off, the main question being, are credit cards really as bad as everyone makes them out to be? Well, in my honest opinion, no. I absolutely love credit cards and I use mine for literally every single purchase. Plus, who really wants to carry around a bunch of cash and coins in their pocket, their wallet, or their purse? Not me. Well, maybe you do, but I certainly do not want to. I would much rather carry around a credit card or two and literally put every single purchase on that. Plus, a quick side note, how are you supposed to buy things online through your computer or your phone? Using cash. It doesn't really work that way, right? You need to have either a credit card or a debit card or some type of electronic payment method, which again, a lot of times happens to be tied to a credit card. So therefore, a lot of us need these in order just to operate our normal everyday life. Now, don't get me wrong, there are ways around it, but credit cards are definitely very, very beneficial. Again, this is all in my opinion. Of course, I could go back and forth talking with somebody else who thinks credit cards are the worst thing in the world, and that's totally fine. Everybody has their own opinion. However, just like everything, credit cards are not completely perfect. There are a few things about them that I certainly want you to be aware of, and a few things that are certainly kind of in the bad category about credit cards. But if you're aware of this, then again, you want to bring this to your attention so that you can be aware of this when you go out to the store and you're actually spending money on the plastic, right? All right, so first off, number one is the interest rate. Now, obviously, we all understand this, and this is actually just a quick little side note, but I actually want to talk about something that is actually a little bit more important and is actually one of the bad things about credit cards. But again, we got to throw this out there because the interest rate on credit cards is historically very high, usually 18%, 19%, maybe even 20, 21, 22, even 23% interest on a credit card. So if you happen to be somebody who is spending money on a credit card, I would always advise make sure that you only spend money that you can actually pay back right away, because carrying a balance on a credit card can get very expensive very, very fast. If you've ever paid interest on a credit card, I know I have, and it gets to be very expensive very quickly, especially when you're paying nearly 20% interest. It adds up real fast, right? So anyway, the interest rate can be a little bit of a downer. That can certainly be not a fun aspect of using credit cards, but ultimately, again, they certainly do give us the freedom to do what we need to make the purchases that we need, whether it's in person, online, over the phone, things like this. It can be very beneficial to have at least a credit card in your possession. Now, here's what I also want to talk about in regards to credit cards. Here's what it comes down to. The studies have shown that most people spend an extra 12 to 18% when they use a credit card versus actual physical cash. This is what the actual studies are showing. This is kind of interesting. If you ever wanted to play this out in your real life, maybe you could try this. So either do this in real life and actually do it like as you go to the store, or try to rehearse this in your own mind and actually play this out at your own home. But here's what you can do. Basically go to your kitchen, your counter, your table, something like this. Pull out, say, $100 in cash, right? Or again, it could be 50, it could be 20, it doesn't really matter. Basically, just pull out some money in cash. Now, take that money and plop it down on the table as if you're going to be spending that money, and see what it does to you and your mindset. Do you feel like, oh, this is great, this is so much fun, I'm having a great time right now, spending a bunch of cash? And then pull out your plastic, your credit card, and then set that down on the table as if you were paying for the exact same thing. Which one has a bigger emotional tie to it? Well, it's probably the cash, right? Because when you pull that cash out of your pocket or out of your purse or out of your wallet, and all of a sudden you throw it down on the counter and you think, this is it. Bye, my friends. It was really nice knowing you. You know what I mean? And you hand that money over to the cashier, and that is it. It's gone. It's a lot more emotionally draining than it is to actually just whip out the credit card and put that purchase right on the plastic, right? So the emotional aspect of actually pulling out the plastic credit card and actually paying for your purchase that way versus actually handing over the green stuff, the actual physical cash money, it's a lot more emotionally draining to actually hand over the cash than it is to actually pay with plastic. So you can try that in your own personal life. You can either do it at home, or next time you go to the store, when you're about to make a purchase, either pull the cash out of your wallet or your pocket and either use that to pay and or decide to use the credit card. But I think during the heat of the moment, it's a lot more difficult to hand over the cash when you actually feel like, I earned this. This is my money. I feel proud about this. It's in my pocket. It's in my wallet. It's in my purse. I'm super excited to have this with me. And all of a sudden, if you hand that over, you look back into your wallet or your pocket or your purse and you think, hey, wait, it's not there anymore. Where'd my friends go? You know what I mean? So it's a lot more emotionally taxing to actually pay it with actual cash versus just handing over a credit card where it's like, who cares? It's just on the plastic, It's just going to show up in my mailbox at some point in the form of a statement, and then I'll decide then if I want to pay it in full or not, right? Which, by the way, as of right now, the average person has about $7,000 in credit card debt. So as you can see here, a lot of people, use credit cards and unfortunately probably spend maybe a little bit too much on credit cards. But the reality is the vast majority of people right now are using credit cards just to buy the basic necessities that everybody needs right now because, people don't have the money. They don't have the cash. Therefore, they need to actually spend it on a credit card and float that balance until they can actually pay it down. So when it comes down to credit cards, I could sit here and talk for a very long time about all the different aspects that I love about credit cards, including the cash back, the welcome bonuses. If you actually open up a new credit card, if you spend so much within a certain period of time, you a lot of times can get a welcome bonus. It could range anywhere between maybe $100, $200, $500, $1,000 in some cases you can get back, or a lot of times you can get it back in points or miles, things like this, which once again can also be converted into cash, statement credits, gift cards, flights, and all kinds of different purchases that you can make with your points as well. So just a few of the things that I love about credit cards, because here's the deal. Whether I go out and spend cash or I spend it on a credit card, I'm going to be buying things anyway. I'm going to be spending money on the necessities, the same old things that all of us are buying on a regular basis. Why not, in my opinion, again, everybody has their own varying opinions on this. In my opinion, why not get a little bit of a reward for that money? But like I said earlier, according to the studies and the reports out there, these studies have shown that the average person spends an extra 12 to 18% more when using a credit card versus actual cash. Well, I'm not sure about you, but if we run the numbers on that, even if you're getting 1% back in cash back, say 2% back, or even in some categories, like some of these credit cards out there right now, where you can get a select 5% cash back, if you're spending an extra 12 to 18%, well, guess what? Even 5% back on the credit card, it's not going to cut it. You're still going to be behind by anywhere between about 7 and about 13%. So that's not really going to cut it and make all the bills, right? So anyway, at the end of the day, I still love the credit cards. I have a handful of them myself. Not a ton, but I believe I have 3 or maybe 4 different credit cards myself, and they all have a different purpose. I use all of them for a different purpose. One of them I use for everyday purchases. Some of them have these extra categories that I use as well. Some of them I use for different categories and different purchases. So again, they all have their own little purpose, but the fact of the matter is, I try to maximize my rewards because at the end of the day, if I'm going to be spending money at a gas station or a grocery store or on something else like that, I want to make sure that I'm getting the maximum reward for it, and that's when I decide, okay, I'm going to use this card for this purchase because this one gives me the most reward and the biggest bang for my buck when I spend money on it. So I'm a huge fan of that right now, and I have been for a very long time. I've been very loyal to the credit cards just because I feel like, what would I rather carry around with me? A bunch of cash in my pocket and a bunch of coins? Or would I rather have one little piece of plastic or maybe 2 pieces of plastic that'll cover virtually everything, right? As far as if I go to this place, I can use this card. If I go to this store, I'll use this card. And then I can think about it later and not worry about wondering, okay, now I need to use cash on this and then carry around a bunch of heavy coins in my pocket that I don't want there, all kinds of business, right? So anyway, these are a couple things that I feel like are a little bit of a downfall behind credit cards. But again, if you're just aware of what you're spending money on, and just remember, well, yeah, the credit card, it's easy to spend money. If I'm just practicing due diligence and I'm actually being financially responsible, at the end of the day, you're going to be totally fine. You're not going to spend all the extra money. Just do what you would always do, pretending that you're going to spend cash on it, but rather if you use the card, you'll be totally fine. And then again, if you can, try to pay off your balance as much as possible each and every month. You're not going to worry about all that high interest as well. But again, I totally understand right now, it's completely understandable to carry a balance if needed. But again, try to pay that thing down as as quickly as possible so you're not paying even more for that money just because of the high interest rates. Anyway, I wanted to share this video with you. And a couple bad things about credit cards. There's not much. Again, these are my opinions. We could talk to a different guru out there who's totally against credit cards, and that's totally fine. Everybody is completely welcome to their own opinions, and that's totally fine. Nothing wrong with that at all. This is just how I feel about credit cards and how I use them with my own personal life. Anyway, hope this video helps you out. Again, please make sure to subscribe down below if you haven't done so yet. Share the video with your friends, family, social media, and go back and check out some of the other thousands and thousands of videos right here on the channel. Until next time, have a good one. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you again later in the next video.